Well, hi, friends. We are continuing in this book, The Salamander in the Manger. So today we are going to hear about the moose who taught. The moose was a creature of mountains, forests, and rivers. He knew the names and locations of all the stars that shone in the night sky. He knew the name of every flower, plant, and tree in the great north woods. He knew all the creatures and called them by their names. The moose was an elder in the great north woods, where he had spent his entire life. He was a magnificent creature with a spread of antlers that were unsuppressed. When he walked in the sunlight, the shadows of his antler looked like angels' wings. His favorite time of year was spring, when the color returned to the woods after the white of winter and new offspring were born to all the creatures. As the babies grew, the moose would gather them together and tell them stories so they could learn how to be good citizens of the forest. He taught them to respect all creatures, no matter how big or small. He showed them which plants and flowers were safe to eat and told them stories about the changing seasons. Most importantly, he taught them the rhythms of life in the forest from birth to death. He taught them that all creatures played a part in the forest story. This, he explained to them, was part of the deepest rhythm of the forest and allowed all life to continue. One winter evening, the moose was standing alone in the center of a snow-covered meadow. The snow was falling gently around him, and the breeze blowing in the bare tree branches gave a feeling of expectation in the forest. He was gazing at the night sky and studying the stars overhead when suddenly he noticed a change. The stars seemed to shift out of their usual places and sparkle more brightly. The moose had never seen the stars look like this before. He wondered what this change in the sky's pattern meant. He sensed that it indicated a profound shift in the world's rhythms. As the moose continued to look at the heavens, a star he had never seen before appeared. It was larger and brighter than any other star in the sky. It filled the forest with light. Nocturnal creatures stopped what they were doing, and sleeping creatures woke up puzzled by the light. One of the star's beams seemed to reach toward the great north woods until it stretched all the way down and touched the moose's head right between the antlers. As the other animals watched, the light began to grow until it surrounded the moose completely. The moose felt himself lifted from the earth toward the star, turning as he went. He was not afraid, but full of wonder, entranced by the deeply sacred experience. Silently, the moose floated over plains and valleys, cradled in the star's light. He saw mountains and forests very different than his own. He saw great oceans and deserts after what seemed both like a long time and no time at all. The moose felt himself begin to drift down towards the earth. As he got closer, he could see the gently rolling hills and the lights of a little town. When the beam finally set the moose on the ground, he was standing in front of a humble stable that seemed to be directly in the star's light. He saw an older man and a young woman sitting inside the stable next to a manger filled with hay. The woman was holding a newborn baby in her arms. The moose could see a cow who seemed to be organizing the other animals and a unicorn kneeling in front of the manger. The moose approached and bent his head as if to enter. He was stopped by a shout from the cow. "What on earth do you think you're doing?" she demanded. "Those antlers will never fit in the stable, not to mention the rest of you. Get out, this is not a place for you." As the cow raised her voice, the baby joined in. The moose felt an unfamiliar emotion. His life's work was to teach young animals in the forest that everyone belonged and was worthy of respect, no matter their size. Now he was being told that he did not belong. He began to pull his head back when one of his antlers caught on the doorway. Quickly, the unicorn stood up to help. "If you move your head just a little to the left and step back, you will be fine." To the cow, the unicorn said gently, "Give our guest a minute to get his bearings." The moose noticed a window in the stable where a donkey was poking in its head and large ears. On the other side of the stable was an even larger window. "Moose," said the cow grumpily, "you may walk around to the other side of the stable and use that window." The moose did so with an encouraging nod from the unicorn. The unicorn helped him angle his head in the right way so he could be part of the group gathered at the manger. As the moose's head and antlers filled the window, the baby stopped fussing. The parents sighed in relief, and the cow relaxed as well. The unicorn shook his head gently. "Moose, you have traveled a great distance to bring your wisdom to this child and all of us. Please tell us how you came here." "I was brought by the star," the moose said in his deep and gentle voice. "I live in the great north woods, a land very different from this. I am a storyteller who has taught many generations how to live in relationship with one another in the world around them." My goodness, isn't that what Jesus does? Okay. "This is exactly the message that this child brings," said the unicorn with a smile. "Your stories will be important for the child to learn as he grows." The moose looked thoughtfully at the unicorn. "Suppose that's why I'm here. My stories illuminate the rhythms of life and teach all creatures their part in Earth's story. We're not born to be perfect," the moose said with a slight nod and a gentle smile toward the cow. Our part in the earth story is to share peace with everyone from the time we are born until the time we die. Even after we are gone, our stories continue to be part of earth's fabric that knits us all together. As I traveled here, the bright star shared its message about peace on earth and goodwill for all who dwell here. Yes, said the unicorn, the message starts in the stars, comes to life in this stable, and continues out into the world. I may have to use some of that on Christmas Eve for my sermon. So my friends, God bless you.